I'm going to start this video by asking you a question. Whose path are you on? Okay, so you might think about it for a second and find that's like a strange question. Whose path are you on? Let me give you a reference point. So I believe we're born into this life, and that's our point A. And obviously, the end of our life is point Z. And between those two endpoints, we have a journey specifically designed for us to carry out. That's our life goal. That's our code that we were born with, and our identity, our reason for being in this physical is what happens between point A and point Z. But as we go along our journey, remember, you're not the only one on a journey. You have other people in your life, in your neighborhood, in your family that is along a journey too. And because they're born into this life, into this space, into this era, into this time with you, they're sort of running parallel to your journey. So you're on your path and they're on their path, and both of you are heading the same way to the eventual completion of your journey. Well, at least that's how I imagined it, right? But oftentimes, what we as human beings do, if we see someone in need on their journey, on their track, on their path, we jump off our path and we go on their path to be sort of a supporting cast member, okay? And if you think of it, it happens so easily, it happens so naturally. So you don't really think of it as you jumping off your path to go and be a supporting cast member to somebody else's journey. So for example, like, when you have a kid, well, as most people know, mothers and fathers, the minute you have a kid, your life changes forever. You basically, what you do as a parent, you kind of jump off your path and you jump on your kid's path, your child's path, and you start carrying them. And you carry them physically, emotionally, mentally. You're grooming them to be an effective adult as they get older. And that's a very pleasurable job for most parents. It's a very rewarding job. It's how humans, the lineage go from one generation to the next. You also do it sometimes when you become blended in a family. So you got married, and before you got married, you had these dreams and ambition and things that you wanted to do, things that you could have done, things that you should have done, things that you wanted to do. But suddenly you find yourself in the interest of the family unit. You start giving up things, making some adjustments, making some compromise, and basically, you slowly but surely, you step out of your path, and now you're on this other path supporting more people, not just the child, but you're supporting the husband and the subsequent children, and you're supporting this family unit. And then you get somewhere in middle age. And I guess I'm making this video mostly for the people that are past 50 because, you can certainly relate because, if you're younger, you can't really relate to what this feels like. So anyway, so when you get to a certain age, yes, just imagine this. If you can literally look back on your track, you begin to realize something uneasy. You begin to realize, wait a minute, while I was busy on somebody else's track, who was running my race? See? Who was running my race? Who was doing my work? And then you have to come to the conclusion that nobody was there. Nobody was there. And I think this is the internal definition of a midlife crisis. When you start, your life is prepared, your life is a certain way, and you go along with that life the way it is. As a matter of fact, even something as simple as your choice in a career. Perhaps you made it because you were all excited to be a doctor. But for most of us, there was a little seed planted from our parents, from the environment we grew up in, from the teacher that thought that they saw a wonderful doctor in you. And suddenly, as you start to get older, you start to follow down that path because you kind of know that that's the expectation and that's what's expected of you in your community, in your household, in your family, and in your wider audience there. Again, how do you know? How do you know? How can you tell when you're not on your own path? For me, I can explain it like this. It was a subtle, uneasy, sort of years of, sort of unraveling. I didn't unravel all in one day. I showed up unraveled. But it was like, it was like a journey that started to come apart. I didn't have the right tools. I didn't have the right picture. I didn't have the right guide. I didn't have the right direction as to what I was even doing and where I was going. Because the truth is, I had lost my way. Because for years, I gave up my path. I gave up my spot on my race. And no one was running in my race. But boy, was I busy. Was I busy being the best, the brightest, the most competent member of a support caste system. I was never the number one in the show or in the race. I, however, was the one handling the bottle and the ingredients and the sneakers so that other people can get to where they need to go. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you recognize what I'm saying, if any of this speaks to you, it's time that you, number one, accept that you can do two things. You can certainly be a support cast member, but you can also get back on your damn track, figure out what you're meant to be, figure out what makes you happy, figure out what empowers you, what wakes you up in the morning. Even if you're past 50, especially if you're past 50, because by then you're running out of time. You're running out of time to do the work that you were sent here to do. So I challenge you to ask yourself this question and ask it often. Whose track am I on? Whose race am I running? I challenge you because if you continue to ask the right questions, you will get the right answers. So keep asking questions so that you don't waste time and energy running somebody else's race. Okay? Just a thought.